Thank you. I'm sincerely honored and thankful to the Hyderabad Literary Festival, our esteemed patrons from the government, as well as our distinguished guests from all over India, especially Gujarat, and also the delegation from China for gracing this event with their presence. I remember a childhood spent in the gardens, classrooms, and the library of this very school, a distant memory from another time. Um, a time when it would take less than 10 minutes to get from Banjara Hills to Begumpet in the morning, something that took me well over an hour today. Um, Hyderabad is a city that has changed tremendously beyond recognition. It is no longer the Hyderabad that I grew up in. As we grow to become a city of some affluence, we are gradually emerging as a place to visit on the itineraries of people, a truly global city. The Hyderabad Literary Festival has been a part of that change and has over the years become a significant attraction for people. Um, I must say though, while the Hyderabad Literary Festival and platforms like this are new, and Hyderabad has changed immensely over the years, it was never really a provincial place to start off with. I think it was Oscar Wilde who said, "We are all in the gutters, but some of us are staring at the stars." I would like to believe that some of us referred to us in Hyderabad. There is an innate curiosity, a desire to learn and understand from the rest of the world that we find in people in Hyderabad, and a deep seated and long standing love for learning, for information and knowledge. This thirst for knowledge has manifested itself repeatedly through generations in Hyderabad's history. From the setting up of one of the most comprehensive bureaus of translation at Osmania in the 1920s, to the almost continuous and prodigious literary output that we see brought out in Telugu. This is a city that straddles civilizations and one where literature almost a household pastime. Today happens also to be the day of the Tyagaraja Aradhana, and I can think of at least 3 sabhas that are performing Pancharatna Kritis this morning. So it is ingrained and very much a part of our culture to celebrate literature. This year's lineup, as Ms. Desai has said, consists of several exciting and diverse writers, some accomplished and established in their field, as well as many who are at the beginning of their career. To start with, it acknowledges the very long and historic ties we have had with China by featuring China as a guest nation in this edition. It, it is very easy in today's world to think of China solely in terms of trade and business. To boil it down to a black and white, we got the Chinese addicted to opium 100 years ago, and now they're getting us addicted to their cell phones. But that does not really acknowledge the significant back and forth we've had with that great nation over millennia. A great deal of our own history comes from the records of early Chinese travelers, and we need to acknowledge the tremendous debt we owe to Chinese civilization. Um, this is a tremendous debt that we continue to owe to the present day. I want to narrate one anecdote from my childhood in Hyderabad that should illustrate the deep ties that bind China and India. I come from a rather ordinary, undistinguished family of Hyderabadis, of professionals, and my grandfather was a doctor who practiced in Hyderabad. A noted elderly Telugu social activist, writer, and a man of significant conviction, whose name I cannot take in the current environment, used to visit him frequently for medical checkups. He was a man of some repute, and as a child I idolized him. As children we spoke of him in hushed whispers and were in awe of him. I remember somehow on one occasion mustering up the courage to ask him for his autograph. He looked at me, and as a Telugu writer, he had never encountered a situation where someone had asked him for an autograph. So he smiled and thought a lot, and then he went on to produce a page-long quotation from memory, written verbatim from Chairman Mao's Little Red Book. I narrate this not so much as an endorsement of a political ideology, but to remind us here that there was an entire generation of people in Hyderabad's history, an entire generation of Telugu writers that was enchanted by the idea of China. that spent hours memorizing long quotations of Chairman Mao and dreamt in a very Hyderabadi dream of fashioning a new world, um, a world free from the shackles of feudalism. Um, we look now again at China for the brave new world it is helping us create. This festival brings to you some of China's most accomplished science fiction, which truly is enthralling. A Chinese translator once said, "Beautiful words are untrue. True words are not beautiful." Science fiction, I think, as a genre, blurs that distinction, and it is truly exhilarating to learn about it in China. The library of the Hyderabad Public School, which is on the right over here, is a place where I first encountered science fiction as a shy, introverted child with a distracted mind. I found the books of Kurt Vonnegut, which were not very easy to get in Hyderabad at that time. And it really opened a world of possibilities to me that I didn't know existed. If you have the time, do visit the library here because it contains a lot of rare books and early editions. I want to also take the time out to thank the festival and acknowledge that it not only celebrates foreign literature but our own long-standing Indian literature. And in this edition, it focuses especially on Gujarati literature. Um, there is a passage that is I frequently heard quoted in Hyderabad, that is from the Bhagavata Mahatmya, where the goddess Bhakti says, "I was born in Dravida and grew up in Karnataka. I lived here and there in Maharashtra and then grew weak and old in Gujarat." This is a very snobbish South Indian put down of Gujarati Bhakti literature's contribution and a way of claiming that Bhakti originated in South India. It probably originated in South India, but Gujarati literature, in whatever form, took it to a significantly more refined form than it existed here. In Hyderabad, we refer to an Urdu poet by the name of Wali Dakhni, who wrote many of the very early works in the Urdu language and some of the first ghazals. But the world knows him as Wali Gujarati, not as Wali Dakhni. We here in Hyderabad might have produced a few great ideas and people, but it took the genius of Gujarat and of a Gujarati to bring them to bloom. We are honored to have here in our midst a distinguished group of writers from Gujarat, including a truly great poet whose contribution to world literature is enormous. I am a small-time Hyderabadi businessman who cannot claim any great acquaintance with literature. My company and I are often asked what we gain from supporting the arts and why we do so. I don't have a concrete answer to that question. All I can say in response to that is a few lines from William Carlos Williams of Asphodel, That Greeny Flower. These lines were taught to me on the lawns of this school a winter afternoon many years ago, and they still continue to resonate for me. William Carlos Williams says, "It is difficult to get the news from poems, yet men die miserably every day for lack of what is found there." I want to leave it at that. It might be difficult to get the news from poems, but if it were not for literature, the creative impulse and the imagination it sustains, what would we be left with? I want to thank the Hyderabad Literary Festival again for opening up this world of possibilities for us in Hyderabad. Thank you.
Distinguished people sitting here and here. It was really good to look at the journey of Bhakti from Dravid to Gujarat. Gujarat also has its own stories. And one of it is that they name poetry in Gujarat, name poetry in South, and name poetry in the North, how they are dressed. The Gujarati poet says that the name poetry in the North wears too many clothes and you can't really see her shapely body. It is all covered. Dame from the South wears not enough clothes. So you are ashamed and you can't look at her body either. Only lady poetry of Gujarat knows how much of her body to cover and how much to suggestively leave alone. I think it is these stories about Gujarat and Maharashtra and Bengal and Kashmir and of course Tamil Nadu that these stories keep us together. There are some cultures which are kept together by history, and there are some cultures which are kept together by stories. History is more of a fiction than fiction, and these stories are more of a history than history. With that, let me complete with a story, with a poem by a woman whose race has almost been wiped off the face of the earth. This is a small poem by a Native American woman poet. She has nothing much to do now, and they live in a reservation. No future, no past, pure present. An existentialist philosopher might like it, but this woman doesn't. So she sees every day the eggs that her little poultry farm she finds there. And one morning, like this morning that Mitaben has given us, Ajay has given us, she sees an egg moving slightly because the chick is trying to come out. And in a while she sees that the chick has, with its beak, pierced the shell of the egg and has come out and is looking up, bewildered. At that time, this Native American woman poet says that I wish I too have a beak soft but sturdy like this, because I see a huge egg above me. And one day I would break that egg, and what an immensely more vast world I will fly into. At times, it is only pain and helplessness that provides us with the greatest strength that we can dream of. I wish us all, including our friends from China, not riches and power, but this ability to experience pain and yet be creative.
首先非常感谢海德拉巴文学节邀请我们中国作为今年的主宾国，也是因为这样一个原因，我跟我的中国作家几个同行共同组成一个代表团，来到海德拉巴，跟印度的作家乃至来自世界各地的作家见面交流，非常高兴。
I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to the organizers to invite us Chinese delegation of writers to be here to communicate with writers from not only India but also all the other parts of the world. We have 6 members of 6 writers for our delegation.
我想借机会把我的几个作家同行介绍给大家。
I'd like to introduce my colleagues here.
我们著名的小说家关仁山先生，
The famous novelist, storyteller, Mr. 关仁
关仁
山.
山先生，站起来一下。著名的小说家葛水平女士，
And the famous novelist, Miss 葛水平.
是著名的诗人荣荣女士，
And the famous poetess, Rong Rong, Miss Rong Rong.
以及帮我进行翻译的诗人北塔先生。
And I am Beta as an interpreter for this time. I'm also a poet. Yeah.
中国是一个多民族的国家，我们这个代表团也由多个民族的作家组成，除了汉族作家之外，有满族作家，以及我本人是一个藏族作家。
Our delegation consists of writers with different ethnic background. Mr. Ale is a Tibetan, minority, and 关人山是
满族。
and Mr. Guan Renshan is Manchu minority.
这样一个构成也反映了中国文化有充足的多样性这样一个面貌。
It shows the variety of Chinese culture.
昨天有媒体来采访的时候，他们尤其对我们2个女性作家有充分的好奇心。
Yesterday, when the media came to have interviews with us, the journalists were especially interested in our 2 women writers.
他们总在询问他们、关心他们，在中国有没有受到太多的男权的压迫？
What they were interested actually was that if they were oppressed by machism, man power.
以及为了反抗男权而成为女权主义者。
If they have become feminist because of the oppression of man.
我在旁边特别想建议记者先生采访一下我。
I wanted very much for the journalists to have an interview with me.
因为今天在中国的社会里头，我们讲男女平等，但是有些时候女性已经在我们头顶之上了。
Nowadays in China, women have more powerful rights even than men in China.
所以我们有可能成为男权主义者。
So we men might become patriots.
在文学创作方面，我们也中国的男性作家总是感到12万分的压力。
Especially in the world of literature, Chinese men writers always feel pressure.
因为这些女作家除了跟我们一样聪明之外，这些女作家除了跟我们一样聪明之外，她们更加勤奋，更加坚韧。
Because the women writers are not only as clever as us, but also they are more diligent.
所以，如果有哪一天我们中国的男性作家没有饭吃，完全是因为女性作家太强大的缘故。
It might happen that in the future, Chinese men writers cannot make a living by writing. That is just because of the women writers are so powerful and influential.
这几天我一直在读一个中国人在1600年前来到印度的时候写的一本书。
In the past days, I have been reading a book written by a Chinese writer 1,600 years ago.
这个人叫做法显，他在公元399年来到印度。
Whose name is Fa Xian. He came to India in the year of 399.
在印度生活了16、17年。
He was here for around 16 years.
他来印度学习佛教。
He came here to learn study Buddhism.
当然，我不是一个佛教徒，但是我非常想知道那个时候的印度到今天的印度发生了什么样的变化。
I'm not a Buddhist disciple, but I'd like to know what is the difference between Indian today and Indian at that time.
因为中国也是跟印度一样，是一个正在急剧变化的社会。
Quite similar to India, China is also nowadays in the time of radical change.
那么在这样一个急剧的变化当中，作为作家，作为文学，应该怎么样来书写这个时代跟变化？
Now, how we writers, how do we write or record such kind of a time?
同时又保持住我们最基本的那些精神文化元素。
As well, that we should keep the basic elements of tradition.
在这一点上，中国作家一直期望跟世界的文学发生一种深度的交流。
In this point, we Chinese writers always like to communicate with colleagues from the other part of the world.
正是基于这样一个原因，早在上世纪的1924年，中国作家、中国的知识界曾经就邀请泰戈尔去到中国进行交流。
Just because of this, we Chinese writers and intellectuals invited Tagore to visit China early in 1924.
就是讨论古老的东方智慧怎么样应对现代化的冲击。
To discuss together about how to deal with the confrontation between West and East.
我想直到今天为止，这也是中国作家，我相信也是印度作家所要面临的一个重大的课题。
I think now, even today, both Chinese writers and Indian writers are facing such an important task.
所以今天我跟我的写作同行们一起来到印度，也是这种互相学习、互相交流过程的一个继续。
We will continue our, learning together, get to know to each other together.
希望能够得到从印度作家身上得到更多的智慧，希望交到更多的印度同行朋友。谢谢大家。
We would like to get more wisdom and friendship from Indian colleagues. Thank you.
A warm good morning to all of you. The chief guest of the function, DGP of the state, Sri Mahendra Reddy Garu, and the Chinese guest nations invitee from the Chinese Writers Association, Mr. Alai, our esteemed guest, Padma Shri Sitansu Yashash Chandraji, and Mr. Adhiraj Parsarji, who supported this initiative in sponsoring this event, and the organizers Ajay Gandhi and Amita Desai, Professor Vijay Kumar, and also Srinivas, and many others distinguished visitors here. As literature, as far as my understanding goes, as George Byron said, a drop of ink can make millions think. Even a drop of an ink can make millions think. So with that understanding, the whatever goes in writing, whether the old style writing in ink or present day style e-ink writing, whether it is called e-books or real books, whatever we have, e-ink or what other ink, it goes a long way in creating these kind of wonderful think tanks, ideas coming into the world in a big way. So literature is a way, in a way, helped me a lot in understanding the society. More so, also brought me onto this position also. As I said in the last session also, last edition, Telugu literature was one of my optionals for civil services. So I will be always indebted to the literature which made me to join the elite administrative service in the country. So that understanding and also reading of lots of books on various subjects also enriched my limited knowledge on the various aspects. As we come to ninth edition of this Hyderabad Literary Festival, all 8 editions were growing day by day. Now we are in ninth edition. It is attracting many people all over the world. Now it's a festival to be reckoned with. Probably now we have only one, I don't say competitor, but one person to see and one to emulate or to grow along is Jaipur Literary Festival. So, and we have to work together, both Jaipur and Hyderabad Literary Festival can work together, sharing the common platforms and make India as one of the best literary festivals organizing country. So luckily when last time when this festival was organized, when the guest of the guest nation was Spain, and I had understanding of Spanish language to a limited extent. I was learning Spanish language at that time, and the language in focus was Kannada. So I knew a bit of Kannada because I worked in Bangalore. So it was easy for me to utter a few words in those two languages. But now I'll try 2-3 lines in Chinese language, Mandarin, and also 2-3 lines in Gujarati. And then I'll close, then we can meet for other workshops. I think I request the Chinese delegates to excuse me if pronunciation is wrong somewhere, but I'll try to speak as much as possible correctly in Chinese. Pudongwo shi shinje xiong ziodi yuan. Zongu zi wen zion de kyu guo. Zhuangwo venexi xiong zi yoyu. Uman gongzi zongzi zi de gongzian. So this means Mandarin is the most spoken language in the world, and the Chinese has long tradition of history, of literary tradition, and the China language, the Chinese Writers Association, which is helping us to organize the Chinese section, we are thankful to them. This is what I try to convey in China. So Elias, to some extent it was okay. You could, if they could understand even 10% of it, I am successful. Because the most difficult language on the earth in terms of script is Chinese. You need to learn more than 2,600 alphabets, pictographic alphabets, to start reading and writing. It takes minimum of 5 to 7 years for anybody to learn the Chinese script. So is the case with Japanese script. And language wise, it's a long historical tradition. Like Indian language writing, Chinese language writing is also very old and ancient. Unlike in India, we have plethora of languages, whereas China, it's not the case. Only one language is understood and talked in the entire country. So that advantage is there for them. So that is the strength of that language. So that's what it has grown long, and now it is one of the best this thing. So now I will go to our Gujarati. Maybe here I can be little at least 50% correct in terms of this thing. A utsava mateno basa Gujarati che. Right? 80% right, okay. I'm saying certifying 80%. Gujarati mam sahitya mahana karani sankhya che. So that means, so now with these two I will close. That means the language in focus is Gujarati for this festival, and Gujarat has long tradition of good, historical, wonderful literary tradition. This is what I wanted to convey in this thing. So I'm trying to learn languages because it keeps you busy, it keeps your mind fresh, and also you can understand them. You may know anybody, You may read any book about that language in English or the language you know, but I think it will never be 10% or 20%. At the most, 30% you can understand about that language and that culture. Unless you understand their language, you read some of their own books in that language, you will never be able to. You will be able to swim through, but you will never be able to dive and understand the depths of that culture. Because most of the oral traditions, most of the written traditions which are core to that language and culture and to that literature always happen in the native language, never in a translated language or never in a learnt language. We may speak English, but any day we are never English people. We are Telugus only. So if you think I have studied Telugu, English from LKG to whatever post PhD, but you will never become an Englishman because your basic thinking goes in your native language. What your mother was speaking when she was feeding you, that is the language which is going in your brain. You may translate like Google Translate or Samsung Translate or anything. So whatever it is, so the beauty of this festival is there every year they are introducing one or two languages, one as a guest nation, one as a language in focus. Great traditions, great literary poets, they are all bringing here, and also they are showcasing various art and cultural forms, whether it is street plays, whether it is art forms, whatever it is, they are introducing to Hyderabad. So that way Hyderabad is also seen as not only as a city of technology, it is also seen as city of melting pot of cultures. It's a city of meeting place of languages, cultures and literature. So let this city blossom into a great global city. Thank you very much.
Distinguished guests on the dais, off the dais, my young friends, ladies and gentlemen. I feel happy and delighted to be part of this Hyderabad Literary Festival, the 9th edition. It's a very memorable event for me. First of all, for the reason that I am associated with an event which is basic to the human life, literature. Literature is what distinguishes human beings from all other living beings. The evolution of the society over the generations is documented, understood, appreciated, and passed on from one generation to the other through this medium. In fact, all facets of human life, they are connected one way or the other to the literary activities, the ocean of literature that is created by luminaries from across the globe over the years and centuries. We are fortunate that millions of people get benefited by this kind of initiatives. I take this opportunity to congratulate the organizers of this event, Mr. Ajay Gandhi, Amita Desai, and all other distinguished individuals who have been contributing these festivities year after year, keeping Hyderabad, the life in Hyderabad, a very vibrant, moving, and a learning-oriented culture. I would like to invite our guests of honor and also The dignitary on this occasion, Mr. Alai from China, as a part of this Chinese Writers Association, representing this festival for the next 3 days. The literature brings together the nations, the continents, the individuals, and all human beings across the globe. I feel proud and honored to be part of this event today. I know it is difficult to organize any event. It's always possible to organize once. But if you want to organize year after year without missing on it, it requires huge commitment, conviction, and also, the inner urge that, we would like to make it a very innovative, interesting, and successful event. I can see the itinerary. It has 9 venues, the Hyderabad Public School being a very, very, famous and, open-hearted institution. It being the venue, it adds color to this festival. It has 9 venues for this festival with 6 sessions every day and going on for 3 days, covering about 150 events. It's a mammoth festivity, I can say that, and to collate, coordinate, bring everyone together for each of these events, it really requires a great commitment. I would like to congratulate the organizers in this regard for doing a wonderful job. I never realized that it can have such complex list of events going through these 3 days, jam-packed, one after another, venue after venue, and each one can choose from among these 150 events and then be a part of that, soul search. Wherever you belong to, you can be there in any of the events. I also would like to invite and then convey our gratitude on behalf of Hyderabad city to our professor Padma Shri Sitanshu for being present here. It's always, the country is represented, India, by so many languages, both documented, undocumented, so many cultures, so many ways of living, so many art forms, so much in this country as far as the human life is concerned. And the organizers of Hyderabad Literary Festival have done a great job in bringing together all these cultures, individuals on this platform and ensuring that we all integrate with each other and then promote a culture of national unity and homogeneity. I also would like to mention on this occasion that Hyderabad is a growing city. As you know, as Mr. Parthasarathi has succinctly put it, I'm sure I would not be able to match him, but I can say that whatever developments that are happening in Hyderabad city, this literary festival will add up to the quality of life, to the thinking process, to the creativity, and for bettering the human life more and more as we go through. As a part of Telangana Police Department, we have been trying to do our bit in ensuring that the citizens of this city, the visitors to the city, each one of them has a hassle-free life. They can do whatever they like, they can live the way they like, and the way they would like to progress, each one individual in the society. We would like to have a culture where it's a totally hassle-free, safe, secure city. In that regard, Telangana Police and Hyderabad City Police, we have been making series of efforts and using various individuals and groups within the society by making them stakeholders in promoting safety and security. One initiative that we have taken is this community CCTV project, where we wanted individuals and groups to be part of this effort. And today we have 5 lakh cameras in Hyderabad city with the help of the community. That's the kind of synergy that we have been able to get from the communities here. And I am sure this festival will place Hyderabad city in the global cities in terms of the literary activities and promoting various forms of art and culture. I would like to once again thank and congratulate all the organizers for having given me this opportunity to be present here as chief guest. And I also take this opportunity to thank the management of Hyderabad Public School, a renowned school in the city of Hyderabad, for housing this event. It's a great opportunity. It's a great contribution by Hyderabad Public School. In that regard, I would like to convey my appreciation to them. And once again, I wish the organizers the very best for the next 3 days. And I'm sure this festival will bring in more vibrance in terms of the living standards of the people of Hyderabad. Thank you.